So good morning. And happy Palm Sunday, happy spring, happy Holy Week. This is the last week of Jesus' life on earth, and they call it the week that changed the world. Seems like an important week, wouldn't you think? The week that changed the world. And if we study the teachings that are in this week, we'll find it's the week that can change our life. Now, this is the 6th Palm Sunday that I've done the Palm Sunday talk, and I recognize that in these 6 years, things have changed in me. Have you noticed since you put yourself in this kind of spiritual community where we don't tell you how to live, we invite you to awaken to the great soul that you are, that things shift in you. And this is what Jesus was here to allow us to remember, that here at Unity, we don't study the messenger as much as we study the message. We don't let this be something that somebody did a long time ago and somehow we're trying to be in this place of not knowing how this works for us, but to live this message. It's not that we're studying history, it's that we're making history. I was born to make history. Let's say that together. I was born to make history. It's empowering. So let's look at this journey of Holy Week and look at the aspects of it and recognize that you were born to make history. So looking at this week, we have a message of triumph. We have a message of tribulation. And we have a message of transformation and then eventually transparency. So, triumph. This day was called the triumphant entry. Jesus is triumphantly coming into Jerusalem, which metaphysically means the habitat of peace. So he is entering into this place where he's going to get, and he's experiencing this peace that he is. And there's palm leaves, and there is a celebration of him coming into Jerusalem. And so when we look at this sense of triumph, what are we triumphing over? It's our old way of seeing life. It's the things that you learned about yourself that weren't true. And that's what you're triumphing over. And so this day, we have to look at what happened before Palm Sunday. There was a period of Lent. There was a period of 40 days and 40 nights that Jesus went through that it was called the wilderness. And in many faiths, the Lent period is something that you give up, that you sacrifice. Sacrifice means to make sacred. And you give up something. Here at Unity, we call Lent letting go of every negative thought. What an idea, huh? And so we want to sacrifice, we want to give up something that isn't serving us anymore to create the space for a new idea. Now, some people may really get, if you give up chocolate, you think, what could my life be like? Can I go on without chocolate? And maybe not. It may be, I get it. I don't know sometimes. But I know that if I'm willing to create the space in my life, a new idea will come. So this is what this period is of Lent prior to our triumphing, that we get to make some space for a new idea to come. I can't tell you how many people, when they come into Unity, go, I never thought of it like that. I never realized that there's a loving presence called God that's within me. I never thought of this Christ consciousness being something that's my responsibility to awaken, rather than feeling like I'm separate from everything. So we want to create the space for something new to happen. That's what this period is before the triumphing. We also want to work with our ego. Jesus came into Jerusalem on a beast of burden, on a donkey, which represents our ego metaphysically. And so he's entering in where he's tamed this donkey, this beast of burden. He's riding on it. We can't just cut off a lot of these things we've learned about ourselves. We want to tame them. We want to work with them. So he rides in on this donkey. And the third aspect of his triumphantness is that he really gets it that the universe is on his side. The Pharisees are there. Pharisees metaphysically represent separateness and the place of I'm right and you're wrong. Anybody ever felt like that? I'm right and you're wrong. And in a lot of places with religion, my religion's right and yours is wrong. And so Jesus is writing in and they're saying, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. They're praising the consciousness that he brings. And the Pharisees are saying, Jesus, you need to tell them not to say that. We know what's right. And Jesus says, if they didn't cry out, the rocks themselves would cry out. Do you see that when you have triumphed over an old belief, the universe can't wait to support you in that? When you recognize that you're one with the universe, when you recognize something that you're passionate about, the world's all over supporting you in this. But we have to be ready and we have to live in that sense of triumph. That's why we affirm here. I was born to make history. I was born to make this world a better place. God and I are one. We triumph over our old way of seeing things. Now, friends, I will tell you, it is a personal thing. You are here to change your ideas about the world and not try to change other people. Have you ever had that thought? I'll just go out and change somebody else and then maybe I'll feel better. It was like this neighborhood of Catholic folks. And this Lutheran family moved into the neighborhood. And on Fridays, they would grill these delicious steaks. And the Catholic men would come home from work and they would smell these steaks and they'd say, something must be done about this. We can't have steak on Friday. It's not working. So they went over to the Lutheran folks' home and they said, you guys should think about being Catholic. It's a great thing. It's not much different than being a Lutheran. You go to church a little bit more and everything's fine. It's the same God. And if you would like to be Catholic, we'll come over and we can sprinkle some holy water on you and we can make you Catholic. And the Lutheran folks said, it doesn't sound so bad. These Catholic people seem pretty nice. So they agreed. And the Catholic people came over, they sprinkled some water on them and they said, you were born Lutheran, you were raised Lutheran, and now you're a Catholic. And the Catholic people said, okay, great. And you know the rules now. You can't cook steaks and you have to go to Catholic church and all this. So that Friday, they drove home and they thought, oh, great. Now the Lutherans are now Catholic and all this will be great. And they come home and they get out of the car and they smell steak again. And the Catholic man looks over the fence of the Lutherans into the Lutheran's backyard and that Lutheran guy is cooking steaks. But he's sprinkling some water on those steaks. And he's saying, you were born a cow, you were raised a cow, but now you're a fish. I think you guys can relate to this stuff. Trying to change people. So your triumph is over your old beliefs. Your triumph is in your excitement and your passion for your life. And then we get to live, not as the exception, but as the example, as Jesus invited us. So triumph. Okay, this is what we get to do. And then, as this week goes by, this Holy Week, the week that changed the world and will change your life, then the next big aspect of this is working with tribulation. And who is the star of Holy Week in Jesus' life during tribulation? Anybody remember? Judas, of course. And Judas is the fellow that gets the real bad rap in this story. And Judas, they say, maybe loved Jesus less, but when you look at the story of Holy Week, Judas probably loved Jesus the most. Because without Judas, Jesus could not have gone on to be the most, well-renowned spiritual teacher of all time, because Jesus was willing to go through crucifixion and experience resurrection. And the idea that when we're dealing with crucifixion and these things that we feel are against us, if we resist it, we never grow. If we ask ourselves, what is this here to teach me? What is this here to break open in me so that I get to experience my life more fully? And as we practice this and be willing to understand that Christ consciousness is in you waiting to break open, you can actually start to feel a sense of gratitude for those things that are in your life that are trying to get your attention. As I was considering this gratitude about the crucifixions of my life, I found a reading. It's from a book called Let Go of the Shore. Because as Jerome Song said, that this is where we get to use our spiritual muscle of faith, and we get to change these ideas of something is against me, rather something is for me. And see if you can relate to this. I love to let go of the shore because, it's said that ships are safe in the harbor, but that's not what ships are for, right? To those of you who laughed at me, thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have cried. To those of you who couldn't love me, thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have known real love. For those of you who hurt my feelings, thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have felt them. For those of you who left me lonely, thank you. Without you, I wouldn't have discovered myself. But for those of you who thought I couldn't do it, it is you I thank the most, because without you, I wouldn't have tried. So who is the Judas in your life right now? What is the Judas in your life right now? What is that experience that's asking you to open your mind and open your heart and see the world differently? Friends, as we embrace this sense of what is it that wants to open my mind and my heart, then that place that feels like the tomb can become the womb. It's the place where something old will die in us so something new gets to be reborn. And feeling like you don't want to deal with this, Jesus came as this human experience to teach us that we can work with this. He was the one that said, take this cup from me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to look at the places where I don't feel like I'm lovable. I don't want to look at the places where I don't understand the prosperity and the flow of my life. I don't want to look at the places where I don't take care of myself and my body. I don't want to look at those things. It's very much like the two Buddhists that were walking together, and they came to the woman on the side of the stream. And one Buddhist carried the woman across the stream. And then they carried on for another hour walking. And the one that did not carry the woman said to the one that did carry the woman, brother, don't you know we're not supposed to carry women? We're not supposed to touch women? And the first monk said, I put her down an hour ago, but you're still carrying her. This is the place where we resist, and then this place of resistance and pushing the world away becomes our way of life. And there's no joy in that. There's no awakening in that. And that's where we get that word that feels stuck. So as we work with this, and then I will tell you, there's a period of contemplation. I think I want instant gratification. I want to wake up all the time, right now. I don't want to feel these feelings. But I know that there's then this time of being with us. For Jesus, it was 3 days before he resurrected. And Jonah was 3 days in the belly of the whale. And the moon is dark for 3 days before the light starts coming on again. So we have these times of contemplating what's being presented to us and how we get to be with this sense of this crucifixion. And so you need friends that can love you while you're working this out. We need community like this. We need classes. We need people that can be there for us. We need to pray and meditate and contemplate why is this in my life, and what can I learn from this? And Jesus, of course, very quickly after he said, take this cup from me, because of his prayer and meditation and his consciousness, and he realized what an important part that his teaching and his ministry was, he got very quickly to, thy will, not my will, be done. Thy will, not my will be